for the tailor to get their work done. I'd like to call the January meeting of the City Council to order. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would the clerk please conduct a roll call?
Heidi.
Here.
Blinker.
Here.
Nargi.
Here.
Reynolds.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Ollismeyer.
Here.
Williamson.
Here.
Downey.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Quorum present.
We will now have an election of officers for the City Council for next year's, or this year. We're in 220 already.
Yeah.
It is.
Wow, it goes fast when you're having so much fun. I would take or entertain a motion for the president. Mr. Heidi.
I make a motion for Nancy Nargi to be president of the
I would
Lafayette City
entertain a
Council.
second.
I second that.
Who said that?
Jerry.
Terry? Good.
Yeah.
Are there any other nominations? There being none, would the clerk, instead of taking a roll call, will vote unanimously
Correct.
by everyone here? All those in favor of Mrs. Nargi being the president of the City Council next year, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nancy, come on.
Go chair, ma'am.
There you go.
Do I take that one?
Oh, well, I'll do that for you.
I don't think you're going away again because that ain't happening.
Here, you come down here? Yeah, I'm gonna move down.
Yeah, you better.
Oh, you were getting comfy there, weren't you?
No, well, no, that's,
We have to look at both
I was in charge of these.
Oh, well, all these chores. Is this yours?
Yes.
Okay.
Leave that up, see if it fits.
Okay.
Nice leather coat.
Okay, the next business of order is we need to elect a pro tem. Do we have a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Melissa Weist Williamson for pro tem.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Approval of the minutes. You received the December 2nd of 2019 minutes. Are there any corrections to those minutes? Okay, do we have a motion to approve? Mr.
I move that those minutes be approved as
Approved and-
communicated.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Presentation and disposal of claims.
There are none.
Presentation of petitions and communications.
There are none.
Reports of city offices on file in the city clerk's office.
Fleet maintenance monthly November, police department monthly November, renew department monthly November, and waterworks department monthly November.
Okay, those are all on file at the clerk's office and can be viewed during business hours. There are no ordinances for second reading, so ordinances for first reading. Ordinance 2020-01.
An amendment to ordinance number 2010-11, establishing a local Greenbush Historic District in the city of Lafayette, Indiana.
Okay, Mr. Brown?
Madam President, I move that we hear and pass ordinance 2020-01.
Second.
Okay.
Good morning, or good evening. John Collier, Assistant Director for Economic Development. You have before you two ordinances to amend the original Historic Preservation Commission ordinance, which is ordinance 2010-11, to establish two new local historic districts to the city of Lafayette. If approved, these two new districts would bring the total of local historic districts in the city to 24, and would include the First Cemetery as a local designated historic district. The property owners of both of these proposed districts voluntarily initiated these petitions to come before the Historic Preservation Commission, who voted unanimously to support a recommendation for the approval of these to be established as local historic districts, and so we would appreciate your support on both of these ordinances. The first, as you said, is ordinance 2020-01 to establish a local Greenbush Historic District, the boundary of which is the Greenbush Cemetery. The legal description, boundary map, and a handful of images are included in your packet for your reference, and I ask for your support for this ordinance.
Okay. Any members of the council have questions or concerns? about this ordinance? Anyone from the audience have any questions or concerns or comments about this ordinance 2020-01? Okay, please come to the podium and state your name and address, and then we'll hear your comments.
Tom Brown, 1501 Catula Avenue. I'm just curious how old that cemetery is.
Older than anybody in the room.
18.
I wish I had all my facts with me, but
Dave covered it today, but 29?
1820, 48, 48, yeah, okay. So it's very old. It's, I think, definitely our oldest cemetery in the city.
Any other questions and concerns from the council or the audience? Okay, hearing none, would the clerk conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2020-01?
Heidi,
Aye.
Clinker.
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Allersmeyer.
Aye.
Williamson.
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you.
Next is ordinance 2020-02.
And an amendment to establish number 2010-11, establishing a local parent Cason Street Historic District in the city of Lafayette, Indiana.
Okay, Mrs. Williamson?
I move that we hear and approve ordinance 2020-02.
I second.
Okay.
All right, thank you again. This ordinance is to establish a local Cason Street Historic District on two adjacent properties at 1509 and 1521 Cason Street, bounded by Cason Street on the north, Tinkler Street on the west, and Ferry Street to the south. The legal description, boundary map, and a handful of images of both properties are included in your packet for your reference, and I'm happy to answer any questions, and otherwise I would ask for your support.
Okay.
Just one question. Do you anticipate any additions to this district?
We're always hopeful that there will be additions to the district, but we don't know of any others at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or concerns from council members? Questions or concerns from the audience? Okay, hearing none, will the clerk conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2020-02?
Heidi,
Aye.
Clinker.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Allersmeyer.
Aye.
Williamson.
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have resolutions. Resolution 2020-01.
A resolution approving a deduction for tax abatement in an economic revitalization area, Vorvog Coatings LLC, personal property.
Okay, Mr. Campbell.
I move for passage of resolution 2001-1.
I second that.
Okay. Mr. Mayor.
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the council, we actually have two resolutions before you this evening. One, 2020-01 that you just heard, and then the second one will be 2020-02. These are two tax abatements for Vorvox Coatings, which is a company here in our community and have been here for quite some time. Some of these that were old enough probably remembered under different names, but certainly a company here in the community that we want to help support. As you know, we work very hard together to create a strong economic environment where companies like Vorvog are willing to make investments in our community and help their businesses to continue to grow, which brings that long-term stability that we're looking for. Tonight, the president, Mike Grandy, is here to speak a little bit about these abatements. They're both for 7 years on the personal property and the real estate. They're looking at creating about 20 new jobs over time with this additional investment. Laura Chapman is also here. Laura was at the caucus meeting, but she didn't have to speak that night, but she is their controller. So she is also here if we need any answers from her. But I certainly would appreciate your support for these two abatements. And with that, I'll call Mike to the podium to tell us a little bit about the project.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having us here. My name is Michael Grandy. I work for Warwag Coatings. I've been in Lafayette for 6 years. Warwag Coatings, this will be our 24th year in Lafayette, and it's actually our 20th year as Warwag Coatings, as the owner of the property on Kossuth. So we're here today asking for your support for the resolution 2020-01 and 2020-02, which is for real estate, also for personal property. I'd like to tell you a little about who we are and where we've come from. We are very proud of what we've achieved in Lafayette in the last, let's say, 5 years. I can tell you we have more than doubled the size of our company, our sales in that 5 years, and with achievement of the 2020 budget, we will be triple the size that we were 5 years ago. Our business, for those who don't know, we are a manufacturer of automotive coatings. These coatings are used principally on the very high-spec Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen vehicles. As you know, there are a lot of new factories in the United States. We are a German company located in Stuttgart. And so this manufactured material goes on the plastic parts of a car. So if you look at your bumper, you look at the mirror, you look at any of the plastic side moldings, those parts are coated with material made by Vorwerk in Lafayette. We, in the last 5 years, have built a new warehouse on our site. We have increased the staffing. I believe when I started, we were 42. We're just short of 70 today, and by the end of this year, we'd like to be 90-ish. As you know, it's a challenge finding people in this environment, but that's a good thing. We have opened a Mexican subsidiary. That happened 3 years ago. We have staff in Mexico, so we manufacture the coatings in Lafayette. We ship those every week to Mexico to sell to the customers in Mexico. This year, that business will be maybe 25% of our turnover, so it is very important to us. So what do we need to do? We need to spend money to invest. We need to put in new equipment. We need to improve our IT. We need tanks. We need people. We're looking at nearly 20 people this year we would like to hire. We also need to upgrade the property. We need loading docks. We need new logistics facilities in order to continue this growth. Are there any questions for me?
Any questions?
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, no questions from the council? Any questions or concerns from the audience? Hearing none, will the clerk conduct a roll call vote on Resolution 2020-01?
Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Resolution passes 8-0.
Okay, Resolution 2020-02.
A resolution approving a deduction for a tax abatement in economic revitalization area, Vervog Coatings LLC, the real estate.
Okay. Mr. Mayor?
I have no additional information, but I'll make myself available for questions if there are any.
Any questions or concerns from the council or the audience?
You bring it to the table, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. we
Yeah.
have to-
That's us.
Hello?
You were coming to it.
Okay.
I move we hear Resolution 2020-02 on first reading.
Second.
Okay, now we're ready. Thank
As I
you.
said, I have no additional information, but I certainly would answer any questions. And again, we would appreciate your support. This is a really strong growth opportunity for the company and for us, and they are good paying jobs, and so we'd appreciate your support.
Okay. Any questions from the audience? Okay. Will the clerk conduct a roll call vote on Resolution 2020-02?
Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Resolution passes 8-0.
Okay, now, Resolution 2020-03.
It's hard to say, that 2020-03, yeah.
2020-03.
A resolution approving the detail of the 2020 Water and Renew Wastewater Department budgets.
Okay, Mr. Brown?
Oh, I move that we hear it approve Resolution 2020-03.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Clary?
Tim Clary, City Controller. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, we have completed the budgeting process and have prepared a budget that is responsive to the needs of our water and renew departments. This budget is reasonable, affordable, and sustainable. The 2020 budget includes a 3% raise for all of our utility employees, the same percentage increase as our civilian city employees. In order to balance the budget, most other line items were frozen at the current level or increased or decreased slightly. Other known factors affecting the 2020 budget are a 1% increase in our health insurance premiums and a double-digit increase in our electric rates. The operating budget for the water utility increased 4.48% for a total of just under $12 million. The Renew budget, also known as the Sewer or Wastewater Department of the city, $39 million operating budget, and increase of 4.35%. So very reasonable increases in our two budgets. The budget has been approved and passed by the Lafayette Board of Public Works and Safety last Tuesday at their meeting. And in summary, the 2019 results show both utilities were profitable again from an operating perspective. We expect revenues to grow in the low single digits, and that growth can fund the 2020 operating budgets. Both utilities have been extremely busy adding necessary new and upgraded infrastructure. Funding for those projects has been a combination of existing cash and bond proceeds. We will continue to fund our projects in this manner. Overall, both departments have controlled costs and made efficient use of their resources. I submit this budget request with confidence that both departments will continue to provide our citizens with quality and efficient utility services. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the council, Mr. Clary? Questions from?
Yes. How much is I guess your electric rates going up? You said
There is
double-digit increase?
a proposal to the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission that I believe will be voted upon here shortly with an effective increase. The first phase in July, and then the second phase of the increase, we expect that will hit our 2021 budgets.
Okay.
So
The
we
reason
have-
I was asking is because I'd heard, I guess there was some initiatives within Renew to look at the possibility of using solar energy to power some of our facilities.
Absolutely.
What happened to that?
That is still in process. Currently we use methane gas that's produced from the plant, and in combination with that going forward, the solar field plan will be in place, and it's our hope one day to be completely off the grid for the Lafayette Renew Department, which would be a fantastic achievement here in Lafayette.
Specifically what I'm getting at, because our water treatment facilities are a critical part of our infrastructure. And for us to be off the grid would be superb. We would be impervious to any level of tampering with our systems, any level of rate increases or anything like that. I would urge you to pursue that, to have them pursue that as diligently as possible.
We most certainly will. Our Renew Department is very forward-thinking in all aspects of their operations with their capital plan and additional ways to get off the grid.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the council? Any questions from the audience? Okay, hearing none, will the clerk conduct a roll call vote on Resolution 2020-03?
Ivy.
Aye.
Clinker.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Allersmeyer.
Aye.
Williamson.
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Resolution passes 8-0.
Okay, reports of standing committees. Any reports? Reports of special committees. Reports by the mayor. Okay, we have one other new business is the council needs to approve these appointments for Economic Development, David Bath for a 4-year term. Redevelopment Commission, Don Teeter and TJ Thiem for a 1-year term. Area Plan Commission, Jerry Reynolds, a 4-year term. And Historic Preservation, a 3-year term, Kevin Clinker. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that those all be
Okay.
affirmed.
Okay, and do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approve? Nay?
Same sign, that's right, we're
Okay.
good. Okay.
Okay, I'm trying to get with it here. Okay, now's the time, I think, for reports of councilmen. Anything? Okay, now's the time for public comment. If anyone from the audience would like to speak, please state your name and address. You're limited to 3 minutes, and please be respectful and courteous of everyone. Okay.
Hi, everyone. You guys move really fast. Good evening, City Councilors and Mayor Rzorsky. My name is Kirsten Gibson, and I live at 1407 Virginia Street in Lafayette. I'm here today because I care about my community. I am beyond frustrated with the city's response to the multiple KKK firings downtown. It was pointed out that the mayor has attended many events promoting inclusivity and diversity. But I would remind the mayor, city council, and audience here that those events have taken place across the river in another city with a different mayor. Further, I've seen little involvement from my city councilors. When Surge organized our members to call city councilors about the known white supremacists that had been arrested, as reported in the Journal and Courier, we received a call back from very few of our city councilors about this issue. When our downtown businesses are flyered with hate speech, I expect elected officials to hit the streets, just like we do in Surge. We use these moments not as a way to persuade white supremacists that their beliefs are hateful and racist, but as a way to ignite the passions of others who feel the injustice deeply. We're asking the city to do the same. We want to see councilors involved in their districts and asking residents what they want to see as a response to hateful messaging. We want the mayor knocking on doors, as we have for the Working Hoosiers Vote Coalition, asking what residents care about. I beg of you to remember that Indiana was not long ago a hotbed of KKK organizing, and many artifacts of sundown towns still exist today. As reported in Indiana public media, a national nonprofit organization says at least 18 lynchings took place in Indiana between 1880 and 1940, as part of more than 300 lynchings in 8 states outside the Deep South during that time. The report says it's likely many more were undocumented that took place in Indiana. The 18 documented cases include 2 well-known cases here in Indiana, the lynchings of Bud Rowland, Jim Henderson, and John Rolla in 1900, and the lynchings of Thomas Shipp and Abram Smith in 1930. The latter became the subject of the most iconic photograph of lynching in America. I bring this up not for shock and awe, but to make a direct connection to the lynchings that occurred in Indiana and the recent flyering of our downtown. Lynchings occurred because many white people stood aside to let them happen. Their complicity is obvious. Whether or not they are actively or passively involved, they did nothing to stop them. We're asking the city council and the mayor to make a public condemnation of these acts and to work with community members. If you're a community member here tonight who wants to get involved, we'll help you do that. My friend Ian back there has a sign-up sheet and can get you immediately directed. Please come to the Resistance Fair on January 18th, write letters to the editor, speak up. Personally, I will not be another white person who stands aside while my community is attacked by white supremacists. And my charge today is for all elected officials and the white people of Lafayette to stand with me. We must do better for the people of color in our community. We have no other choice if we are to stand on the right side of history. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else would like to make a public comment?
Hey, my name is Shahar from 67 Park Avenue. I'm just going to add some to what Kirsten from Surge said. I'm Jewish, I'm an immigrant, so this hits close to home for me. So I'm part of a group called Jewish Voice for Peace and of a group called Students for Justice in Palestine. And I'm speaking on behalf of them as well as myself too. I'm just gonna read this. I'm trying to be all like. We at Jewish Voice for Peace at Purdue and Student for Justice in Palestine and Purdue joins Surge and other groups in our community in demand for a public response from city government and officials. Furthermore, we're calling for the city to provide a committee to engage with these growing dangers in our community with racism at large, as well as the more hidden forms of institutionalized racism. The space we envision is one that is led by community organizers like Surge and others, and yourself. Space for solidarity, education, and anti-racism. This incident is but one of a growing fascist and white nationalist movement in the U.S. and abroad. Anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and anti-blackness are on the rise, and these are deeply connected to each other. And in order to fight them, we must stand and together in solidarity. We at Jewish Voice for Peace and Student for Justice in Palestine are not asking for a manhunt or anything like that. We believe the person responsible for the circulation of these vile flyers is only a symptom of a much larger problem that will not be solved through measures of criminalization. Instead, we're calling for deep community engagement to tackle white supremacy, strengthen solidarity, and develop together mechanisms that will keep us safe. And I'm hoping the city could be part of it in some way.
Thank you for your comments. We have other public comments.
Tom Brown, 1501 Catula Avenue. I come on behalf of the Lafayette Church of the Brethren, and I stand with my sister and my Jewish brother to stand against the KKK and against all that they stand for. And I would hope that you all would join us. And it's a sad day when those flyers come to our city and no one speaks out against it. And I hope that if ever they want to march, you don't let them. If they want to rally, you rally against them. And I call upon my Christian brothers and sisters to also stand with us, to stand for God who loves all of us equally. And again, I stand with my sister, my brother, and other people that have come tonight to stand against the Klan, for justice, for equality, for peace, for everyone to be together in this beautiful city. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We have more public comment.
Hello, I'm Maria Williams, and I live at 4071 Fletcher Drive in Lafayette, Indiana. And I just wanted to say that this is a time to speak out about injustices. I was very dismayed to hear about these things, particularly as someone who is directly affected by such hateful messages. And I think that it's time that we need to speak out against hate in our communities. It's not time for silence from white communities about these issues. We need to speak out. As someone who is the first generation in my family to not experience Jim Crow directly, I think I'm only 19 years old. I think we need to realize that these things aren't relics of the past. They still exist, and we need to call them out today. And I stand with the other people who have spoken in that I believe that our city council should condemn these flyers that have happened repeatedly and should stand for racial justice in our society. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment?
Madam President?
Yes.
Could I please speak to this issue?
Sure.
First of all, I got one of those recruitment flyers at my home, which obviously means that the people who put them out didn't do any research. I've lived in the same house for 38 years. So if they were looking to stop the neighborhood from being ruined by the influence of black people, they're 38 years too late. But what I would like to say to you is that which we battle against here is a congenital disease. It is something that is passed down through families. It rears its ugly head up like every other generation or something like that, because that's the frequency at which I've been receiving these things. I have a collection. I have several of them, and I got from my time at work, others, that have just showed up around here. But the one thing that has been consistent has been the rejection of that message by the people of Lafayette. The thing that makes me feel best about what's going on here is you people here tonight, the response of you saying that, we ain't having it. I looked at next door. These things are all over my district, so I'm reading next door and I'm looking at it. All of the people that I know of in my district next door, they thought this was reprehensible. The only way that this will stop is for us to say no and continue to say no. Silence feeds the beast, and as long as we feed it, it will still wander around here and oppress and hurt and kill. Thank you for standing up. The only thing I can say is I'm not sure what I could do from here. I cannot legislate these people out of existence. As a matter of fact, I can't even stop them from protesting. But I can tell you not to be there, because the next time they do it, I'll make the same suggestion I did last time. If they're down here at the courthouse marching, let's go over to Columbian Park and have a party. That's how we deal with it. We don't deal with it. We don't pay any attention to it, because the only power that they have is that which we give them. By our attention, by our fear. Just thank you. Thank you all for showing up. Makes me feel better.
Any other public comment?
Hello, Margaret Haas. I live at 117 North 5th Street, just around the corner. And I'm here tonight mostly representing Greater Lafayette Immigrant Allies, and we are very happy to see the response and the people coming out here. I was one of the people who found the flyers the first or second time it happened in the last couple years on a snowy day on my way to work in the morning. And I can only imagine what it feels like as a person of color to find that on your property. I think what we're asking here is not so much a reaction from the city council or a reaction from the mayor. I feel like in the last 3 years we've been reacting a lot to things that have been happening, but more of a response. And what I mean by a response is a proactive response. We're grateful to the mayor and to the city for supporting events for Greater Lafayette Immigrant Allies, for example. And we would like to see that sustained commitment from all of our elected officials, the city government, and to do things that make this place so welcoming that this doesn't feel like a symptom of a larger issue, but an exception rather than the rule. And that means, improving language access, improving representation in our city government. It means, having a more obvious welcoming presence, maybe even a welcoming center for newcomers who move to our town. And different kinds of ideas, improving transparency and accountability with law enforcement. And those are all kinds of things that we need in this city. And as a white person, as a person involved with Surge, Working Hoosiers Vote, Greater Lafayette Immigrant Allies, and all those other organizations, we feel the need to stand up for those things. And we'll continue working for those things. And we thank you for your attention tonight.
Thank you, Margaret. Other public comments? Anybody else? Okay. Thank Mr. Heidi.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
She's gonna make you say it.
I only forgot once to say that.
You did fine.
Gotta get back in the